Your answer to this question could determine if you have the mind of a psychopath. And no, it's not the mother's funeral one. One day, the police found a man dead inside of a hut. In his left hand, he was holding a gun, and in his right hand, he was holding a recording. When the police played the recording, they heard the man talk about how terrible his life is and how he wants it to end. Then, the recording ends with a gunshot. The police were about to call it a suicide until you point out a very important clue. What is it?
This is part 2 of how I almost drowned someone's baby. When this was happening, I was on my phone, so I was distracted. I looked down in the pool and I see that the baby is drowning. I don't really know how to explain the way that my heart skipped a beat at this exact moment. Like, my heart was beating regularly and then all of a sudden it skipped 2 beats at a time. My ass was in my forehead. Immediately dived down into the pool, took out the baby, but the baby was suffocating. Now listen, I never did CPR, but God blessed me with those skills in that very moment. I was able to keep myself calm and did CPR on the baby and was able to get it to breathe again. I did not tell nobody shit about this. I didn't tell the parents. The baby is fine. I really should have told the parents, because what if it did cause a health issue? But from what I've seen, the baby's fine. Yeah, I didn't tell them what happened, but I quit babysitting because I felt guilty. They haven't said anything about their baby dysfunctioning, so the baby is fine. Just because of this, I pulled myself out of babysitting and I'll never babysit ever again because I'm clearly not responsible enough. This is gonna be a story time of how I almost drowned someone's baby. Y'all, I cannot sleep at night because of this. I cannot believe that I did this to someone's child. Now let me go ahead and explain myself. So I was babysitting for this one rich ass family. What's so amazing about it was the fact that the parents were never home. At the same time, I was just a senior in high school. I didn't have much to do after school either. I didn't have hobbies. I didn't play a sport. So I had all the time in the world to babysit for their kid and house sit for them. This baby was only 1 year old. Since the baby was so young, I had to keep eyes on it at all times. They had this big pool area and they said that if I ever wanted to go swimming, I could, and there was a floaty for the baby. One day while I was house sitting and babysitting for them, I went in the pool and I put the baby on the floaty thing. Somehow I forgot that that baby existed. I felt something in the bottom of my feet at the pool. It was like slippery, so I kicked it out the way because I thought it was a toy. And then when I turn around me, I see that the baby is not on the floaty. I look down and I see this tiny human sunk in the water, like for part 2.
I grew up in a very warm and loving environment, but from what I was told, I was lucky. My sister and I had 2 drug addict parents who never took care of us. When my mom was pregnant with me, she smoked and got drunk pretty often, and when I was born, my sister was the only one who took care of me. When I was 2 months old, they left us both in a mall and left, and we never saw them again. An old couple found us and contacted the police and eventually decided to adopt us. Today I'm 19 and my sister is 34. We're really close, but I still live with my adopted family and she lives about 20 minutes away. So a couple of months ago, a friend and I took a DNA test, and that's how I found out I have an aunt in the system. I immediately reached out to her and we agreed to meet in person, all without telling my sister a thing. We tried to figure things out, so I asked her if she has a brother or sister, and she told me that when she was 13, her older sister got pregnant while being drunk with her junkie boyfriend, and a month after giving birth, she ran away with the baby after some pretty intensive fights with their parents. They never found her, but stopped looking after a year and a half. When I saw the picture, I knew it was my sister 100%. My sister is my mom. We were never abandoned. She fabricated this entire thing to my adoptive family and
Hello you guys, I'm going to be starting a new series where I take 1 or 2 of these colors and mix them together. I was actually inspired by somebody and I'll tag them in the caption. As you guys can see by these numberings, it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then down is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is how I'm going to be able to tell which one you guys want me to do. Let's start this off now. Comment down below 1 or 2 colors that you want me to mix together. After a few videos, feel free to let me know whether you guys like this series or not. Also, I'm still doing my reviewing series, so let me know if there's something that you guys want me to review. There's an example right there if you're confused.
After finding everything out, I told my aunt to please keep it a secret. I can't look at my sister in the eyes, let alone tell her I know the truth. After avoiding her for a week, I came to her house and I told her she needs to sit down because we need to talk. I told her about the DNA test and meeting up with my aunt, and that's when she confessed. She told me how she got very drunk at a party and slept with one of the jerks who does nothing but weed every day. She told me how her mom used to convince her father to try to talk her out of keeping the baby, and they were constantly fighting. When I was born, they told her on the spot that she brought shame upon the family and they will not help raise this baby in any way. After a couple of months of loaning from her friends and juggling between working, she decided to run away. She took us to the mall to keep us warm and we started crying. That's when the couple who adopted us now came to our aid. My sister jumped on the opportunity and came up with the story and an alias. She She knew all along that her parents were looking for her. She wrote them a letter saying she's never coming back and they should stop looking. 2 years later, her father went on a quest to find her secretly. He met me a few times and I knew him as one of my sister's old friends from the park. He helped us a few times and apparently they would meet up once every 2 months secretly. I'm glad I got to know him at least before he passed away.
Do you style your hair the same way every day? Well, there's an urban legend about a woman who always wore her hair in a bun, but for her, this habit would lead to something terrifying. This woman loved wearing her hair in a bun, but she might have taken it a bit too far. She didn't want to style her hair differently or even take out her bun to clean her hair. Whenever she took a shower, she would just wear a shower cap to make sure the water didn't mess up her bun. At night, she would sleep with a towel around her hair so the bun didn't move. After a while, she had to put hairspray in it to mask the smell. Then her scalp started feeling itchy, so she would put more hairspray in it. Even when the itching got intense, she just applied more hairspray. But her husband finally found out about how bad the situation had gotten when he woke up one day and his wife was still asleep. He tried to wake her up, but she wouldn't move. She had died in the middle of the night. The husband called the police, fearing that something unusual might have happened. But when her body was examined, they finally took out her bun. Inside her hair, they found something terrifying. They found a huge spider had gotten into her hair, made a nest, and laid eggs. When the baby spiders hatched, they bit through her skull and ate her brain.
Tell me men kind of scare you without telling me men kind of scare you.
So let me tell you about the time I reverse repeat this guy. A couple of years ago, a guy I went to college with asked me out on a date. We were supposed to be going to get drinks and he was like, come to my house so we can just leave from this location and take one car. I didn't think anything of it, but when I get there, he says he's not done getting ready and that we should just come in for a second and chill and then we can depart. I get inside, he asked me if I want a glass of wine and I'm like, of course I want a glass of wine, because I love wine. So he pours a glass of wine and he puts a wine charm on my glass, which I thought was kind of weird because it was just the two of us. So why do we need to identify which drink is which? I leave something in the car and, like a dumbass, leave my drink unattended for about a minute and a half and come back. And when I get back, there's this weird powdery substance floating on the top of my drink. At this point, all of the fire alarms in my head are like ring-a-ling-a-linging, and I had to think of a master plan quick. You guys will never guess what happened next.
If you can solve this riddle, you're a genius. There was this woman and she was a serial killer. She would take men on dates and then poison them and kill them. One day she goes on a date with you. Ooh, but she can't go through with it because she's so in love with you. Eventually you two end up getting married and you buy a house together. When you buy the house, she claims the basement for her work and she says that you're not allowed to go down there. You say okay and you're happily married. But as time goes on, you get really curious and one day she leaves for work and you decide to go downstairs and see what's down there. When you go downstairs, it's pitch black and you reach around the walls to see if there's a light switch to turn on, but there isn't. As you're feeling around the room, there's a light bulb above you that is unscrewed a little bit. You screw it in a little bit more to turn on the light. Immediately you see all the dead bodies that she's ever killed and you're in shock as you're looking around for a while, but then you hear her car pull up in the driveway and she's home from work. You quickly unscrew the light bulb, run upstairs and sit down. When she gets home, she goes downstairs to check on her dead bodies and she immediately knew that you were in there. How did she know?
Hello everyone, today I'm going to be showing you guys how to marble. The colors I'm going to be using today are Clear by Me a Secret, White by Me a Secret, and Boulder Opal by Irene Beauty. The link for this beautiful glitter is in my description and you can use my code to save money. First, I'm going to start with my white and start creating a pattern that I like. Then I'm going to go in with my clear and start fuzzing out the white lines. Make sure not to blend them in too much, but also make sure that they don't look stripy. I'm going to go back and forth between white and clear to create a pattern that I like. Also the marble effect. Then I'm going to go in with this beautiful shade of glitter, which again is in my description. I'm overlaying this on top of the clear. Then just to add a little bit of something, I'm taking gold flakes. Make sure with gold flakes to clear cap, add a top coat, and you're done. Hope this helped.
Okay, this is part 2 of my teacher almost getting fired. After that whole incident, my class was dead silent for the rest of the period. We then all went to lunch. None of us really talked about it, but then all of a sudden a woman came up to us. We were all kind of sitting around the same table. This woman, I guess she was administration. I have no idea who she was. I think what had happened was a bunch of students had reported him. She asked us all from Mr. W's class to follow her. I don't remember if this was the same day or the following day, but she asked us to follow her into an empty classroom. I think it was used for testing. She had us all sit around the table and recount the incident to the best of our ability. Summer was there. What she wanted to know was basically, did Mr. W throw that binder at Summer? And we all recounted it basically the same, but at the end of the day, we all said yes. But eventually, they let us all go. The following day, Mr. W was really sad. Barely spoke to us, barely did anything. He was passing out some work. He looked at Summer and said, "Summer, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to throw that binder at you." His voice sounded like he was about to break.
But we did have him as our teacher for the rest of the year, so no, he wasn't actually fired. But I do think Summer was terrified to speak up for the rest of that year. And the rest of us kind of didn't want to be in that class anymore. Yeah,